So hi everyone, my name is Oscar. Originally from Estonia, but I now live and breathe in Dublin, where I work for Google. What I do there, or what my team does there, is that we work with mobile game developers. And essentially you can put, I guess you can, in one simple sentence, it would be that we help them grow profitably. Because at the end of the day, as business people, as marketers, as developers, you want to get some value out of the time and the money you put in. So whatever you do, you want to get some money back. Can I get a sense of the room in terms of who of you are developers? Okay, and who of you consider yourself more like marketers, business people on the monetization side? Okay, not too many. Fair enough. I think this talk in general will be still interesting for all of you, but let's give it a go. I tend to talk quite fast as well sometimes when I get excited, and mobile gaming is something that gets me very excited. So if at some point I talk too fast, feel free to stop me or just yell out, and I'll try and slow down. So if you read the media and if you read the industry, then there's a lot of naysayers out there saying that mobile apps are dead. Mobile is dead, it's not happening, it's just not, it's not working out for us. I think the earliest was in 2011 already, when MIT Technology Review said that apps are dead or going to be dead very soon. They're still writing these articles every day, every week there's a news saying, oh my God, apps are dead. The reality of it looks very much different, of course. So if we look at the time spent in apps, then last year it was 1.6 trillion hours was spent in apps. And if we look at the mobile like App Store revenue. Now this is more not gaming specific, this is across of course all verticals, shopping, travel, but it reached huge amounts, and they expect this time and the revenue delivered by mobile to double by 2020. So even though a lot of people say mobile is dead, we kind of think otherwise, and numbers don't lie. It really is moving the opposite direction. So the last speaker mentioned the movie industry for a brief second, and it's very true. To put that into context, mobile gaming alone last year was larger than Hollywood. So when you think about it, it's quite crazy. Yes. So this is global box office hits. Yeah. So this is global box office hits. So globally, mobile gaming is larger now than global box office hits. So it's quite crazy when you think about it, especially when you think that mobile gaming is only part of the huge gaming industry by itself. And if you look at it, again, like 1/3 of it, the whole gaming industry is around mobile, which is cool, but I think it's even cooler if you look at the growth number, because none of the others, not console and not PC, none of them are growing at 20% year on year. And when you think about it, of course, it makes sense as well, because both PC and console, they have huge barriers to entry. If you want to play FIFA on a PlayStation, you need to dish out 300, 400 euros for the console. You need a TV to play it on. You need the game itself. That's a huge upfront cost, which for a lot of people is just too much. Mobile gaming is easy. It's accessible. You can do it on any device. 97% of the games are free. And also the demographics that play mobile games are very different, I don't know if you've seen, I don't know if any of your mothers play FIFA, probably not, but I would assume a lot of them play games like bubble shooters and stuff like that. Mobile gaming is also big in the mobile world. So if you look at the App Store category by downloads, then let's say in the App Store, gaming apps have 3.8 times more downloads than the other apps, let's say entertainment, which in this case would be Netflix and et cetera, et cetera. And on Android, it's even greater of a difference. So gaming apps have 5.5 times more downloads than the second biggest app category. So metaphorically speaking, it's like a vast ocean of opportunities when you think about it. It's kind of like the dating world, when you break up and again, your parents tell you that there's many fish in the sea, there's someone out there for you, and it's the same for mobile gaming. There's an app for you, there's a customer for you, there's so much happening that, there's going to be another game. If you're disappointed in the game, there's going to be another game that you can try. If this user wasn't the right for you, there's going to be another user because there's so many people. So metaphorically speaking, yes, it's an ocean of vast opportunities. The reality, of course, looks something like this. There's like a ton of people fighting over every bit and piece of what's happening in the App Store. Because it is challenging. No one's trying to deny that. Obviously there's an increasing number of apps available. It's roughly almost 3. I think this was March this year. So I would expect that by now there's over 3 million apps in the Google Play Store and 2.5 in App Store. I'm not counting Windows and Amazon even this because they're quite small players in this field. But you can see that this is a huge amount of competitors to compete with. And it's very much a kind of winner-take-all market when you look at it from outside, because top 1% of the app publishers account for 94% of the revenue. And only 77 game titles had 1 million or more monthly users in April 2016. I expect this number is now probably like around 150 or something and doubled. But it still shows that, you have to have something special, or you need to do something differently to stand out. It's not enough to put a game there nowadays. You need to have something. And unfortunately, most of us just can't put out another Pokemon Go. We don't have the manpower for that. We don't have such a cool brand behind us, so we need to find other ways to do it. 52% of people have downloaded a game that they never ended up playing. So even if you get the person to download it, he might not even open it up. And people have on average 8 games on their phone, but play around 4. Now, I'm probably not an average. I think I have 50 games on my phone myself, because I like to play all of my partners' games, and I need to know what's happening inside. And I just, like I said, I'm excited. I want to see what's happening. But I would assume most people play like 4 or 5 most often. How many of you, let's say, put hands up, have downloaded game, and then later the same day uninstalled it because you didn't like the game or you got bored with it? See, okay, most of you. So we've all experienced this. And this is, I guess, the most challenging part of it. When asked, I think the study was done, late 2015, but wouldn't expect very different results now, is that the most challenging aspect of app development is the marketing. And the most challenging aspect of app marketing is the discoverability of awareness and then acquiring the right users. So, you have great game ideas. You can put an awesome game together. You have a good art team, but then what's next? How do I make it work? The numbers are harsh when you look at them on paper. I think this one scared me a little as well. And this was this year's June, and this is US specific, is that 50% of smartphone users have downloaded 0 apps in 1 month. So, obviously there are power users such as ourselves, the young generation. We download apps probably every day. I download apps every day. I uninstall apps every day. I'm a power user. But half the people don't care, they're not bothered by it, so they're not downloading anything. So how do we get to them? How do we find the power users? Yeah, it's a mystery. So I think this slide from App Annie kind of shows the best example of what's happening in the industry. So obviously, the numbers are showing that the industry is not dying, but there is a shift towards something else. So the industry is definitely maturing. So in terms of the downloads, downloads used to be the biggest thing everyone was talking about. Let's get millions of downloads. I want downloads. It's kind of leveling off. We expect downloads to stay at a similar level because people obviously are still downloading and getting new devices. That always helps with downloads. But revenue and usage are the ones that is the most important thing to focus on. So how do you find those, best users? How do you find the most engaged audience? And this is very specific to apps as well, is that a lot of times, 85% of your revenue comes from 17% of your users. And I think this one was our data across different verticals, and I would expect it to be even larger for gaming apps, that 5% of your audience delivers like 90% of your revenue. So you really need to find those key people that'll help you drive this revenue. And obviously, at the same time, a lot of us are struggling with limited resources. You might not have the knowledge because you're developers, you haven't done marketing, you can't be bothered by it. A lot of the game designers that I talk with them, they can't be bothered by, saying they're like, I have a great game, let's just give me the audience. I don't want to go through the process of marketing it, etc. Same with monetizing. You might not have time, you might not have resources, not enough people, but also in terms of the knowledge, because a lot of times I think people fail to underestimate their bias when it comes to their own game, because you might think you know your audience, but a lot of times you have very wrong perceptions of who actually is your target audience. Let's say you're developing a casual game. Again, let's say take a bubble shooter game. And immediately what pops into mind is, okay, this audience is perfect for females 35 to 45. because they're casual, they're mothers, maybe they're waiting for their kids to pick up from school or something. They have a few minutes to play this quick game. Okay, what about a strategy game? Hardcore, male, 20 to 24, but we're limiting ourselves to these two very, how do you say, generalized signals, because there's a million signals out there, and then we shouldn't be biased, because a lot of times the power users, we might even not recognize them, because our marketing efforts are so focused on our own thoughts of what is the right audience, so we might ignore the other half of the audience is as good or even better, but we just didn't think they could be. So just to show you how app promotion and how our efforts at Google have evolved is, Google has been a part of this since 2007, essentially, when apps became a thing with the iPhone. We had early tests with, ads in Apple. How many of you know about Google Ads? Like, how many of you have had experience with AdWords in one way or the other? Okay, a few, not too many. But it's a thing, obviously. We do ads. We find the right people and we show them ads. In 2010, top charts became a thing. And with that, downloads became the biggest issue. So everyone wanted massive amount of downloads at the cheapest price as possible. It's changed very much so now, because they don't really, top charts, they don't look at just installs anymore. So both on App Store and the Play Store, the metrics have evolved. So obviously downloads are important because it shows the virality and how cool the app is, but also much more on how engaging it is, like how many people actually come back to the app every day, how many people are using it. So 2014 is where demographics took a big, kind of important step. People really got into demographic targeting, like I mentioned before, hardcore, strategy, young males, casual, females. But again, we've come 2 or 3 years since, and at the moment, the industry's biggest kind of hottest topic on their plates is lifetime value. How many of you have heard about lifetime value? Okay, not too many, 3 people. So essentially, it's this topic is not. You could do a different presentation on lifetime value alone, but to give you context, lifetime value is measuring the value of every user that ever uses your app, your game, throughout its entire lifetime. Meaning that you don't look at the first week that it used the app, you don't look at the 14 days, you don't look at the first month, you look at the whole entire lifetime. Because you can easily have, and especially true in mobile, but also other industries, let's say travel, you download the app, but most of the times you don't make the purchase on the first day, because you're still enjoying the first, you're still enjoying the game. Usually the paywalls hit you later on. Let's say when it's a strategy game, a lot of times, it takes a few weeks until you reach that stage where you need to buy something to unlock the next level or to get through the paywalls. So it might take you a while. So if you're evaluating your effectiveness or the return on investment based on 7 days or 10 days, you might not see the value of those people that buy later on or bring you the revenue later. So lifetime value is a huge topic. And with lifetime value comes many different signals. So these are all on top of demographic targeting. So suddenly we're looking at, okay, is the user on 3G or Wi-Fi? Because obviously if it's on Wi-Fi, they're much more likely to download, let's say, a larger app. What search queries do they put in earlier today? Where are they located? Are they at home? Are they with friends? Are they at work? Time of the day, is it late at night? What kind of device type is it? Is it a high-end Android device? Is it iPhone? If it's iPhone, what generation iPhone is it? How many videos did they watch today? How many other games have they installed? How many purchases have they made in other games? What's the frequency of the purchases? What kind of games do they play? How often do they go back in those games? So obviously you can see that this amount of data starts piling up, because suddenly you have to make sense of what's happening here. Before that you could say, hey, let's target females, and that's it. Now you're like, wow, I don't know, how do I do it? So we've developed a solution. We've developed an awesome tool, and we've put a lot of focus and our effort into this tool, and this is, let's say, what our clients are using most at the moment. So essentially what it's called is it's called the Universal App Campaigns. So it's kind of a one-stop shop in making your app discoverable. So to give you a kind of breakdown of those of you who think of Google and think of ads and nothing comes to mind. So these are the different properties where you can find different Google ads and where we essentially try to locate the user. So obviously we have the Play Store. So if any of you use the Play Store, you notice that there are ads there sometimes. The same goes with search. So if you search for something, ads might pop up. We have obviously the mobile web as well as ads in other apps. So if any of you use apps, you'll see that some of them are monetized by ads from other games. If you play actually mobile games, you see a lot of them have rewarded ads, which a lot of times are ads also for other games. Obviously, we have YouTube, which is a huge inventory of ours, and then we have Gmail. So all of these are different sources, and where we can pinpoint the user at the right time, at the right place. Because as you go about your day, as you do your business, as you do your work, as you communicate with your friends, at different times you'll be somewhere around here, and we can say, hey, now's a good time, because we think this could be a good user for you. Oh, now's a good time. Let's try this user. Obviously, there's a lot of data behind it, when we try to simplify it as much as possible. So it uses like a combination of two different sources of data, I guess. So on the outside of the app is our own data. So the queries, because we know what people are searching, and we know what that user is searching. We know their demographics. We know their family situation. We know their device, because we can see what their device they're using. We can see granular location. Like all these signals that I mentioned earlier, we know that because they're using our phones, our ecosystem. And then we combine it with the advertiser data. So this is where you come into play. So you'll give us your app, or rather you show us your app and say, hey, this is what's happening. This is a game. This is what they're doing. So if any of you have different analytics inside your app, hands up. Analytic tools, yes. Analytics tools important very much these days, because that's actually what helps you drive down and see what's happening inside the app. And by combining these two, we have an ultimate powerful beast that goes after the best type of users. So when thinking about what metrics should I measure, it very much depends. So I put all of these in here, different verticals. But for gaming, let's say the most important kind of, metrics or milestones or key actions or events happening in the game, or to look at is, did they pass the tutorial? Did they link any Facebook or any other social network with it? Did they level up? Did they post scores? Did they spend the virtual currencies? Because that's usually a good sign that the user is more likely to also buy the virtual currency. Did they unlock some achievements? How engaged these are? Because you can essentially make an event or a metric out of anything you can measure, because obviously you can measure any action in the game. So the key point is identifying those good quality events for you. How should you measure? This is where analytics come into play. So obviously we provide free analytics tools as well as Google. So if it's website, desktop, and if any of you have marketing backgrounds, then you probably know about Google Analytics. So we have a very similar thing now with Firebase, which is an awesome developer tool. So for all the developers out there, if you're not interested in the analytics part, then Firebase has a ton of other cool stuff that it can offer you all for free. Everything from real-time databasing, authentication, cloud messaging and storaging, remote config, test lab, awesome developer tools that you can actually see and test your apps and see what's happening. But also the analytics part, you can send push notifications with Firebase. You can see, you can do app indexing, you can do dynamic linking invites, and then obviously AdWords or the ad platform integrates with that, links together, so the data flows nicely between the two, so we can see what's happening and is our advertising actually, providing you guys value? Is it making sense or not? There are obviously a lot of other tools that you can use. So for example, if you have a mobile game, you might use different attribution metrics because you want to see where your traffic is coming from. So very popular attribution tools are Kochava, Just2, AppSeller, and AppsFlyer. There's different in-app analytics tools. Firebase is just one of many. We have different App Store analytics. And the cool thing is about that we work super closely with the industry. So we put a lot of effort working closely together with all those partners, especially the attribution partners, to, first of all, make sure that all of our systems can make sense of each other's data. Because a lot of times, you can measure something that our system says, I don't understand what that is. So we're making efforts in terms of making sure that the systems understand the data, that there's very little discrepancies around the data, and that we all evaluate the metrics in the same way. So when you're looking at, attribution, are we talking about last click? What's the date range? How often, let's say, how long after the click do we follow the person until he has to install it? Are we talking about a day, 30 days, 90 days, all of those different things? So we're putting a lot of effort into the industry. We're working closely together with the partners. So whatever tool that you're using, we can make sense of it most of the time. So the whole point of this is that you can use these performance indicators that are important for you to drive value. You know, if installs is the most important metric for you, we can do that. That's easy. If you want to get revenue, let's focus on that. You know, if engagement is a super big topic for you, we can do that. So essentially, your business performance metrics that you're, you know, as a business owner are evaluating, or if you're an employee that your manager is evaluating you on, these are all the things that feed directly into the system, and then we can optimize them on. So essentially, you can tailor the app promotion strategy for your goals. So whatever that goal is, we can deliver that for you in a super easy way. Because how it's powered, can anyone guess? Is anyone following Google very closely? Does anyone, you know, follow our news or blog posts? Anyone sees, like, is engaged with the developer kind of Google developer conferences or anything? Not really. So the key thing here is machine learning. So if any of you, how many of you know machine learning? Awesome, that's pretty good, right? So for those of you who don't know, that machine learning is I guess how do you put it? It's using very advanced computational methods to build modeling, so to build predictive modeling, but in a sense that is very hard to grasp as a human, because the machine is looking at hundreds of millions of different signals in real time and making predictive estimations, and it's just very hard to grasp as a human, okay, you know, because we're used to like very simple things at the same time, you know, looking at a simple graph, and that's it, you know, the machine is doing so much more. So this is a huge focus, of course, for us across all products. You know, if you use Gmail, then machine learning is there. Machine learning helps you filter out those emails. Machine learning sorts your emails, has auto reply function now, if you noticed. Play Store, if you only view Play Store, same thing happens there. If you use Google Photos is powered by machine learning. You know, you can even search whatever's in your photos, and the machine recognizes those photos. So all of this feeds also into our ads. And the benefit of this is the scale, the speed, and the efficiency at which the machine works. So all of those signals that I gave to you before, you know, these 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 100 different signals from 3G and Wi-Fi and location, we no longer have to make sense of those as humans, because the only thing we want to see is the KPI that you give us. So you literally give us the only KPI that you want, revenue, boom, that's it. The system will do everything else by itself. It adjusts bids accordingly, it shows ads accordingly, it will do everything automatically, so everything is automated. So you can just kick back, chill, relax, you know. Essentially, the marketing bit is done. And obviously, innovative ad formats is a very large part of that. So let's say, you know, we have native ads in YouTube. So let's say if any of you use YouTube a lot, you know, may have noticed that, you know, we have now such a thing called bumper ads. So, you know, we kind of realized that, you know, longer ad formats where 30 seconds don't really, I mean, people really don't like them, because if you're in YouTube, you want to watch something, and you're like, oh, this ad, you know, so 6 seconds we found is actually a sweet spot. People really like those, and people engage with those ads because it's quick, fast. If you don't like it, it'll go away. If you like it, you're like, wow, that was cool. You know, video ads are obviously such a huge thing at the moment. You know, pretty much every platform is about video. You know, no matter what platform you're on, video is the biggest thing, obviously. And it's the same thing with apps and gaming, because, you know, what's the quickest way to actually see the gameplay, see what's happening inside the game, is a video, obviously. And further from that, the next step is obviously playable ads, meaning that people actually can play the ads. So, you know, if they like it, they'll install it. You know, if they don't like the gameplay, they won't install it. So all of these are already good indicators of how the user will engage, how they like your app, and help our system to learn. And our machine learning capabilities actually extend also into the creative part. So we actually help you with the assets. So let's say if you have a video, let's say it's only in landscape format, you know, and I don't know, you don't either have the scale, you don't have the possibility, or you don't even know how to make a portrait video, let's say. Then our system will say, don't worry, I'll make you the portrait video. So it takes the landscape video and just turns it into portrait like magic. Like, wow. So it really takes a lot of efforts off your hands. So essentially, the way we're moving, or what we're trying to do is use our developers and the game studios, the creativity, and their direction, because obviously they still know best in terms of what's happening in the game, what's important for them. Is it the revenue or is it not? And then combining that with the machine learning is I guess a way for success. This is from Horowitz, which you may know, which is a private venture company in US, and they're saying that this is a huge shift across all of the industry. So whatever marketing we're talking about, then essentially every platform, machine learning is driving it, and those marketers and those developers that adopt machine learning the fastest, this is it. This is your winning ticket. This is the way to enter. We talked a lot about competing apps, and then there's 10 apps out there that do the same thing, or 10 games that do the same thing. How do you find your user? Well, this is it. This is the answer, essentially. Machine learning will help you identify your most valuable users and will get that app delivered to that user. So I guess for us, what is most important is that we actually see the results and that we make the developers happy and we actually see something happening. So I just, as an end, I put some I don't know, I guess you can call them success stories or some happy customers of ours that are using in the, for example, Alien Dynamics is a pretty big Israeli studio, and they make casual games. So they make a bubble shooter game. They make a new bubble shooter game every day or pretty much every week, and they're growing super fast. So you can say that, Jesus, who is still playing, bubble shooters? But people are using it, people are playing it, and they're quite profitable around with it. So by using this type of campaign and our machine learning, they were able to drive 40% higher retention than any other platform or acquisition channel. So as obviously, as a game, retention and engagement is a very important metric, because that means how often they come back, how much money will they bring you. And we were able to deliver the highest retention out of all the different routes that they used, and lowest cost per install as well of any other platform. Another studio that is Product Madness. So for example, when they use this machine learning and feeding us the data to find the right users, they were able to deliver a 25% lower cost per install than any other platform. And the return on their investment was 2.2 times higher than any other Android channel. And a 26% uplift in installs. So you can see it's very much moving in terms of quality over quantity. So the whole point of this is when you compare this picture that I showed you before, is to use this machine learning to get your game into a position where you can be like this guy here, so you don't have to struggle, with the millions of people in the water. You can just float around and chill, because the tasks that were boring or confusing or struggling, those are taken care of, and then you can focus on those things that are actually important for you working on the game, rather than saying, oh my god, I need to find users. How do I find the users? Because that's taken care of. It's a pretty overwhelming topic, I know. If any of you still have questions or wanna grab me, you can just pull me aside and we can talk. You can email the Satyrs. You can ask questions if you want. But anyways, I hope it was a bit interesting for you guys.
Thanks very much.